So I added a little bit of texture to the circle here, the yellow circle, and just trying to kind of slowly move him around. What I want to do is I want to continue with this theme of movement. We have this hand all by itself out here. I almost wondered what if we had some circles kind of radiating around his hand. Well, let's go to the ellipse tool and let's just do a stroke. So let's do this. We could do yellow and then we could do purple. And fill will be null. Maybe make it 3. And we could probably move this behind the skateboarder. And then what we could do is we can duplicate this. We could do Command shortcut, Command J to duplicate it. And hold down Option and kind of drag it. It's going to do it toward the center. So Command J and then hold down Option. It's just going to make it bigger. So what this is doing, it's providing more of a sense of movement. And make it bigger and bigger. And let's do one more. So this can go and bleed over to slide 3, like that. Just going to use my arrow keys and just nudge it just like that. And we could even make every other one purple to keep with our theme. Just kind of quickly moving on to the next slide. So we kind of have our theme here of kind of circles. There's some triangles. There's our 2 themed colors. Let's keep going with the next slide. And this one is going to be about being simple. So some of these are a bit complex, but we want to show people how simplicity works really well. So use simplicity. And let's have this be broken up by color. Use simplicity. So let me not have a drop shadow for right now. So we want this to be simple. Let's actually make this a little smaller. We're talking about simple. And let's just find something, an element that we can just kind of have appearing throughout the background, but it's not overly complicated. It's not overly busy. I was able to locate a flower. I thought a flower would work really good here. So let's bring it in. Let's do a quick select subject and then layering mask. And what I thought would be neat is if we kind of blurred everything. So we had some things in the foreground that were super sharp and things in the background that slowly got blurry. So we're going to have one big flower that slightly overlaps the typography, but yet it's still readable. And slowly gets smaller. And then a little bit more blurry. So what we could do, we could just even do, here's an issue I ran into. So let's say I want to do a Gaussian blur. So I go up to filter, blur, do a Gaussian blur. And you notice how it's blurring, but it's not blurring the edges. That's because there's a layering mask here. See, there's a layering mask that we masked the photo. So it's not necessarily blurring the edges at all. We want the whole thing to be blurry. I'm going to go ahead and right click and rasterize the layer. So now then when I go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, it's now going to blur the edges too because it's not in a layering mask. So just something I ran into when I was doing this. I was like, oh, that might be helpful for everybody to know. So this would be behind the text because it's blurry. It's not in the foreground. So I don't want too many of these things because, you know, it's all about simplicity. So this is going to be even more blurry. So let's just run the Gaussian blur again. That could be out here. And we can edit this to make it more vibrant and more purple. So I'm just going to go up to adjustments. We could do a hue saturation. We could add a little more purple to it, a little more not too much saturation, just a little pop. So that one's simple, right? Just kind of using a few flower elements. We could also spin a few of these to make sure it doesn't look like we just copied and pasted, which is what we did. But we don't want to make it look like they're the exact same flower. So let's move on to the next one. This one is going to be about going bold. So when we're going to go bold, we're going to have a very bold photo and bold typography. So let's do something different than what we've done on any other page. Let's bring in another dynamic jumping photo. And I found one of a basketball player. Thought that'd be kind of a fun sport kind of thing to go bold. Let's bring it in. Let's do a quick select. It might have to do select and mask on this one because I think the hair might need the refine hair. So doing select subject, refine hair. We could always feather this if we needed to. That's okay. We're going to end up, looks like his foot got cut off. And is that photo cropped? Oh, it is cropped. So we're not going to have the full foot, but that's okay because I think we're going to end up stretching him all the way across. So we're going to have this we have everything kind of left and right. Let's break it up and do a diagonal. So we're just going to take our handles here. Let's have kind of leap over to the basketball goal. And let's bring his foot over the flower. And that's a great visual interest for this slide. You kind of see this random Nike shoe and you wonder, what is that? And it's going to make you want to go over to the next page. Right there. We have his elbow kind of pour into that next scene. So let's make him black and white. Image, adjustments. We just want to do it to him. Sharpen. And let's do something with this typography. So let's go diagonal with the typography. And let's see what we could do here. Let's go this way. We're going to have to add a space so we can fit him. So I'm just going to put a space here, maybe 2. I want to squeeze him between the things. So this is tricky. So we've got a lot of things we got to think about. We want to make sure the basketball is seen. We want to make sure the foot bleeds into the next page. There's just so many different things we have to kind of arrange here, like a puzzle. So that looks okay, but I thought maybe an outline type would put more focus on the photo as well. So let's do that. I'm just going to make this a 0 fill. So I'd love to add something more to this background that's static. What if we added a splash of something, dust, dirt, water, something splashing out, so it just adds that sense of texture to the background. I went on Pexels and I typed in water splash and was able to get some water splashes. So let me see if I can find that photo. There it is. Is this a lemon or something splashing into the water? And I think that's going to be what we need to kind of explode behind him. We did this in a YouTube post, a YouTube thumbnail post where we use the same splash to add a little bit of texture to a thumbnail. So let's bring this underneath the basketball player. It's splashing around. We want kind of his body to hide some of that, so it just looks like it's splashing around. And we're going to use the magic of blending modes. Let's first add a layering mask and let's paint away. We don't want all these distracting things happening. So let's take away a lot of these distracting elements. So I need to paint with black. Black erases, white adds. And I'm just going to get rid of the edges too. Okay. So let's bring this underneath. We don't want that flower to be covered up. And let's do a blending mode. There we go. So far screen works well. And there's also difference. Ooh, I like what difference does. See how the outline turns purple when it overlaps with white? That's pretty cool. So what this is missing is some dynamic lighting. So we can easily add lighting to all this. Let's go up to the top and notice how our layers are getting really complicated. And so this is the point where I would probably stop, put some things in folders, put each one of these in folders, just kind of make sure that you are organized and you have everything named. For the sake of this class, I'm just going to keep going, but it does start to get busy because you have one large document. We're going to end up probably having 50 layers when we're done with all of it. So just make sure you name them and you have everything categorized. So, but I know I need to have a very, very top layer. So I'm just going to add a top layer. This is going to be color highlight. And you can even say what slice it's going to be. So this is slice 6. And I know it's 6 because it's up here. It's the 6th post. So let's do some of this purple, highly saturated purple. We're going to do the soft round brush. I do all of these things I've done in the past, these tools and things I use, I've done them in past projects. So now I'm just going to paint on kind of a purple glow. And I'm going to use blending modes to soften that up. Ooh, screen. Screen looks like it's the winner. Yeah, screen. But let's also not have it be so strong. We can also add more texture as well. I got this photo just for the dust texture. So here it is. It's just a man holding a box. And there's some kind of dust coming out of it. I guess it's an old book. And so it's dust, book dust. We don't need any of this. We just want the man, or we just want the dust. We don't want the book or anything. So let me go ahead and mask it. I just want to add a little bit of that dust texture. So I got this dust here. So now I can do a blending mode, make this dust a little bit bigger. Ooh, there's the man. We don't want him, so that's okay. We can just select our layering mask right here. And let's name it dust. And just adds, watch this. Okay, let me just make sure that is off too. Let's do soft light. There we go. Soft light just adds some depth there. So we can add it on top of him, or we can add it below the basketball player and just have it be in the background. Or you can not have color, whatever. Just adds kind of some interesting lighting. All right, so let's move on to the next one. We have this kind of spilling over to this one. This one is going to be about telling stories and narratives throughout kind of a carousel post. So I'm going to gather a series of different kind of photos that can represent a story or characters.